I want to turn the corner, and I want to, of course, address the impeachment as the defense for Tribulation Trump. Today, they are going on their third and final day of arguments in defense of Tribulation Trump. And I find it, initially they were supposed to have 2 days, and then some of the GOP members did not agree with that. And so Mitch McConnell changed it to 3 days each. Now, we heard the arguments from the House, which I thought was actually excellent. Adam Schiff was absolutely outstanding in the way that he spoke. He was extremely passionate. He was focused, first and foremost on the truth of this particular case. And, I will say that I am not a Democrat. I'm not in favor of the Democratic Party. I'm not in favor of the Republican Party. I'm in favor of Jesus. And so for those people who make these silly comments that, oh, you just want the Democrats to win. You want to see them kill all of these babies and do all of these things. You have no idea what you're speaking of. I am not in favor of the Democratic Party, nor anyone in this House. We don't represent the Democratic Party, nor the Republican Party, nor the Independents. We represent the Lord Jesus Christ. So all of you who are making that absolutely silly argument, let me just move on. But in any case, the defense is going to make their final argument in defense of Trump. And what we have heard as of late, these past 2 days, has been what I expected. I expected them to put the focus on Joe Biden and Hunter Biden. I expected them to make all of these statements in regards to Tribulation Trump and not focus on any of the proof that came forth from the House. They didn't address any of those things. They're speaking about, how this is a scandal, this is a hoax, this is just the Democratic Party wanting to get rid of Tribulation Trump because of the upcoming elections. And of course, they do want to get rid of Tribulation Trump, and rightfully so. One of the arguments that I hear repeatedly from GOP senators, or those who represent or speak on behalf of the GOP senators, is that they may not see this crime as impeachable. They may not. They're not even calling it a crime, as I have just stated. Do they agree that Tribulation Trump did something wrong? Yes. But they don't see this to be something impeachable. They don't see this as a means to remove him from office. So asking the foreign country to interfere in an upcoming election against your political rival to the GOP senators is not something that is impeachable. Okay? And this is some of the arguments that I have heard. I believe that many of them know the truth, including the legal team, Ken Starr and so forth, for Tribulation Trump. They know that he did everything that was stated. There's no way they could refute all of the text messages, all of the videos, all of the telephone calls, all of the electronic messages. They couldn't refute those things. So their best way to defend Tribulation Trump is to attack the Democrats, is to go after Joe Biden and Hunter. And again, I say I'm not in support of the Democratic Party. I don't think that Hunter Biden is innocent in any way. I'm sure that there is information about him that has not been brought forth. But with that being said, he is not, and they're trying to put him as the focus as to why Tribulation Trump did what he did as a means to justify it. So if they can prove that Hunter Biden did something wrong, then that justifies why the president did what he did. But it's still a crime. It is still abuse of power. It is still obstruction of justice. So it's quite interesting as we listen to all of this. And Adam Schiff, in light of the new information that has come forth from the manuscript of John Bolton, did an interview, and he made a statement that I think is important to listen to. Let's run that clip.
Well, I think very dramatically, but first I should say there is already direct evidence of this link between the $391 million of military aid for Ukraine and the president's demanding that these political investigations get done. Mick Mulvaney himself admitted that was the case. Gordon Sondland also already testified that he talked to the president, and while the president denied a quid pro quo during the same conversation, he said, but Zelensky has to go to the mic and essentially announce these investigations. But this would be another witness that would corroborate in very direct terms, if this report is accurate, that the president told him unequivocally he was holding up the money until Ukraine did these investigations. It completely blasts another hole in the president's defense. And I think for the senators, and I'm not just talking about the four that have been so much the focus of attention, for every senator, Democrat and Republican, I don't know how you can explain that you wanted a search for the truth in this trial and say you don't want to hear from a witness who had a direct conversation about the central allegation in the articles of impeachment. Because all of these senators on March 17th, when this book comes out, are going to be asked, if they don't support calling him as a witness, why didn't you want to hear from him when he could have given you information before you rendered your verdict? And I just would not want to be in a position of having to answer that question.
Well, I can answer that for you, Mr. Schiff. The senators don't want the witnesses to come forth because they don't want to hear the truth. All that has been laid out thus far and all of the proof that have been brought forth is a lot. There is no way, again, they can refute text messages and emails and telephone conversations. But to actually hear from a witness who was involved deep in this scandal and have them state their involvement and the truth of what actually transpired is not something that the senators want to hear. Because they have to go back to their constituents. Now, again, what they are saying is that, we have to look after our people. We have to take care of them. We have to protect them and so forth. But 66% of people are stating that they need to call witnesses in. And actually 66% call for witnesses in Trump's impeachment, and this is taken by a new poll. So it goes on to state that 2/3 of Americans in a new ABC News Washington Post poll says the U.S. Senate should call new witnesses at Donald Trump's impeachment trial, and the public is divided on his removal from office, even as Trump's approval rating has rallied to match his career high. And so if you really care about what the people want and you're doing this to protect them, why won't you call witnesses? Simple. They don't want to hear the truth. Actually, let me rewind. They already know the truth. They know that Tribulation Trump did exactly what he is being charged with doing. They know that. There is no way that they can deny that. Then they can make all kinds of excuses and so forth, and they can lie and they can put their head in the sand and so forth, but they know that Tribulation Trump did exactly what is being charged against him. However, they don't want to hear any more information that's going to confirm that even more so. And so as Adam Schiff just spoke, when John Bolton's book comes out in March and he makes the statements that he is going to make, what are they going to say then? How do you then go to your constituents? And again, when his book comes out, it will be he said, back and forth. But if you really wanted to know the truth, as you would in a trial, if you're really searching for the truth, you call witnesses. That's always been part of the American process in trials. And so when we talk about these senators and, talking about why Tribulation Trump did this to begin with in regards to Joe Biden and Hunter Biden, and again, I am not here to defend them in any way, but he was threatened. He felt threatened by Joe Biden. A recent poll that was taken not too long ago, which shows the statistics in terms of Trump versus Biden, states that Biden is at 49%, and Trump is at 44.7%. And so if you look, throughout this poll, you see that Biden is actually leading Tribulation Trump by not a lot, but just a few, and he felt threatened by him. And so, for Tribulation Trump, who wants to win this next election, how better to get rid of your rival than to bring forth news about him? We know what I find interesting, the fact that, one, in yesterday's defense of Tribulation Trump, none of his lawyers until late in the afternoon brought up about John Bolton. And now again, if you are trying to defend someone and someone has made accusations against you and has brought out proof of those accusations, your job as a defense attorney is to refute all of the information that was brought forth. But if you can't do that, then you'll obfuscate. Then you'll try to swing another angle. Then you'll try to make another story come out as to why this is being done to the President of the United States. And one of the things that I found that was interesting was the fact that Hunter Biden, and again, I'm not saying he's at all innocent, but I find it interesting, the hypocrisy among the people in the Trump administration and the GOP senators. The hypocrisy is astounding. I heard Scott Jennings last night on an interview panel states, well, yeah, 66% do want the GOP, the Senate, to call witnesses, but they want them to call witnesses like Joe Biden and Hunter Biden. And so it was asked to him, well, how do you know that? You're saying that Republicans just want witnesses like Joe Biden and Hunter Biden to come forth? How would you be able to explain that? How do you know that they don't want to hear from John Bolton and so forth? But again, Scott Jennings is a representation of the GOP not wanting to hear the truth. So they don't want to hear from John Bolton. They don't want to hear from Mick Mulvaney. They don't want to hear from others who have been involved in this Ukraine scandal. Their mind, their focus is on Joe Biden, is on Hunter Biden. That's what their focus is on. But let me show you the hypocrisy of these people as they are going after Joe Biden and Hunter Biden. And again, I'm not saying that they are innocent, though reports have stated that they did nothing wrong. There is no proof that showed that they did anything wrong, is what is being reported. Donald Trump's sons have sold more than $100 million of his real estate since Tribulation Trump took office. $100 million. They have sold more than $100 million in real estate. Ivanka is still selling items in other countries. And so when you talk about Hunter Biden and you're going after Hunter Biden and you're saying that what he did was wrong and you're saying that what Joe Biden did was wrong, if it's true, then what about Tribulation Trump's children? Is it not wrong? You know, in the beginning of the presidency, it was stated by Eric Trump, who said that if we have to slow down our growth for the time being, we're happy to do it. And this was a statement that he made in, they scrapped the hotel plan in February of last year. Don Jr. added, when politics are over, we will resume doing what we do best, which is building the best and most luxurious properties in the world. But since his presidency, again, let me say it again, they have sold more than $100 million of his real estate while he's still sitting in office. And so if you're going to talk about Hunter Biden and Joe Biden, then you have to talk about Tribulation Trump and his children. Because if it's wrong on this angle, if it's wrong on this side of the fence, then it has to be wrong on that side of the fence. You can't go after one and then excuse the other. I mean, look at the hypocrisy of these people who state that they are looking out for the concern of the American people. But see, that's not something they're going to address. They won't dare address that. They will obfuscate. They will make all kinds of excuses. They'll tell all kinds of stories to get around that truth because they are not looking for the truth. They don't want the truth. Are you kidding me? Do you really think that they are interested in finding out the truth? They could care less. Pastor said something not too long ago, and that was that these senators are living a comfortable lifestyle. They are in these positions where they are afforded all of these luxuries. They are accommodated with all of these great things, these restaurants they go to, the way that they live. They're being chauffeured around the place. They are not going to give up their lifestyle, their positions for truth. They're not going to do it. They're not going to give it up for the American people. They want to be comfortable. They want their families to be comfortable. And they will sacrifice the truth in order to keep their positions. Now, we heard from such persons as Mitt Romney and Susan Collins, who is now saying, well, we want witnesses to come forth. Of course, I don't trust anything Mitt Romney says. But there are some people, apparently not enough, on the GOP who's saying that they do want witnesses to come forth. But I'll say it again, they are not at all interested in the truth. And so as we continue to watch what takes place, as the defense winds down today their final argument towards Tribulation Trump, will he be removed? It's less likely that Tribulation Trump will be removed from office. It's not a surprise. It's not a secret. It's less likely as he is putting more pressure on them, as Mitch McConnell is also putting pressure on them and trying to get them to hold out on subpoena witnesses. It's less likely that Tribulation Trump will be removed. But I'll say it again. And we have a clip from the Honorable James David Manning that I want you to listen to as he warns America, no matter what happens, whether he's removed from office or not, you need to know all of this is taking place because we are in the midst of the tribulation. Now, whether or not you want to receive it or not is not going to change what is. The truth is, for those who are seeking and searching for truth, is that we are in the midst of the tribulation. That's why people can stick their head in the sand to the truth. That's why people can close their ears. That's why people can sacrifice truth to preserve their positions and their lifestyle and all of their luxurious accommodations, because they are not interested in the truth. We are in the midst of the tribulation. And as soon as people can understand that, as soon as people can get that into their hearts and soul, you will begin to understand more of why we are witnessing such wickedness. And I'll say it again. All of this started with the long-legged Mac Daddy. Now, we have had presidents do all kinds of things throughout the years. But the day that that man, the son of Satan, said it was okay for 2 men and 2 women to be married at the altar of the Lord Jesus Christ, that was the day. That was the day where it was completely all destroyed. As he destroyed the families, Tribulation Trump has destroyed our democracy completely. Completely. And we haven't even heard the last of it. Every day, something else comes out. Every day there is breaking news. Every day another bombshell has dropped. We're going to hear a lot more. But is it going to make a difference in the hearts and minds of those who support Tribulation Trump? I will tell you right now, it will not. And it's because they cannot hear and they cannot see.
This is a bit of a news blog we do, looking at spiritual wickedness in high places for the most part, making some observations about it and giving people a biblical foundation to the way of interpreting, rather than have Sean Hannity or Laura Ingraham or Janine Pirro or Anderson Cooper or Rachel Maddow or Don Lemon, Rush Limbaugh interpret what's going on in the world. You come to me and I'll tell you based on what the Word of God says. They'll just give you their worldly, sinful view. But the Manning Report will tell you what God has said, whether to say yea or nay, whether to go or to stay. You'll be led by the word of Almighty God. Come to the Manning Report on a daily basis to interpret the spiritual wickedness in high places, because there's plenty of it that's going on. And so I'm the Lord's servant, James David Righteous Rebel Manning, and I'm here to serve you. with news and information.